Deep in the treacherous waters of the vast sea lived a creature feared by sailors and fishermen alike, Chuzrim, the king of fish. Legends spoke of a massive aquatic beast that ruled over the depths, its insatiable hunger for ships and men driving fear into the hearts of all who traversed those perilous waters. The first accounts of Chuzrim's terrifying presence were whispered from one sailor to another, spreading like wildfire across the seaside villages. Tales of entire vessels disappearing without a trace, swallowed whole by this colossal creature, filled the minds of those who made their living from the sea. Descriptions of the king of fish varied, but one consistent detail remained: when Chuzrim rose from the depths, he resembled a mountain of monstrous proportions, sending shivers down the spine of even the most seasoned sailor. Many brave souls set out to prove the existence of this legendary creature, but only a handful returned with tales that chilled the very air around them. One such story centered on a young captain named Alaric, who, driven by ambition and a thirst for adventure, took it upon himself to hunt down the infamous king of fish. Alaric, aboard his mighty ship, the Vengeance, sailed boldly into the murky depths of the sea. With each passing day, the crew's apprehension grew, for the whispers of Chuzrim's ferocity had penetrated their spirits. Nevertheless, their captain's determination to face this menace head-on kept them united, their hearts filled with both bravery and trepidation. One moonlit night, as the sea swelled beneath them, an eerie silence fell upon the Vengeance. Not a whisper of wind rustled the sails, and the stillness was as suffocating as the fear that gripped their souls. Suddenly, the waters began to churn violently, forming a colossal whirlpool that seemed to reach into the depths of the abyss. And there he was, emerging from the chaotic maelstrom, a colossal behemoth that defied the imagination. Chuzrim, the king of fish, towered above them, his monstrous form blotting out the stars from the night sky. The crew watched in horrified awe as his sharp, jagged teeth gleamed in the moonlight, promising a gruesome fate for all who crossed his path. Fear clutched Alaric's heart, but his resolve did not waver. With a voice filled with desperate determination, he rallied his men, urging them to unleash every weapon at their disposal. Cannons roared, their thunderous echoes reverberating across the sea, but Chuzrim seemed unaffected by their assault. Instead, he bellowed a deafening roar that sent shockwaves through the ship, tearing through the mast and shaking the very men to their core. As the Vengeance careened to the side, its fate hanging precariously in the balance, Alaric caught a glimpse of the monstrous eyes of the king of fish. Full of malice and ancient hunger, they seemed to pierce his very soul, freezing him in terror. And in that moment, as Chuzrim descended upon the Vengeance in a flash of savagery, the fate of Alaric and his crew remained unknown. The sea swallowed their screams, leaving only whispers and rumors of their tragic encounter with the tireless king of fish. To this day, sailors speak in hushed tones of Chuzrim, carrying the tale of the monstrous devourer of ships, whose insatiable appetite lurks beneath the dark and treacherous waters, forever haunting the nightmares of those who dare to sail upon the Chuzrim Sea. Within the depths of the sea, the legend of Chuzrim, the king of fish, grew darker and more dire with each passing year. Whispers among the sailors took a sinister turn, telling tales of how the creature mercilessly killed those who attempted to track him down, or catch even the briefest glimpse of his monstrous form. Among these stories, one harrowing account stood out above the rest. It centered around a renowned captain named Malcolm, fueled by an unwavering determination to rid the world of the fearsome king of fish once and for all. with a crew composed of hardened men seeking to avenge their fallen comrades. Malcolm embarked on a perilous journey into the treacherous waters that fried with horror. Months passed, and the crew delved deep into the heart of the sea. Their nerves stretched to the brink. Tensions ran high as the whispers of Chuzreem's brutal attacks echoed relentlessly in their ears. Despite the overpowering fear that gnawed at their souls, Captain Malcolm knew that surrendering to terror was not an option, for he sensed that within the darkness lurked the key to ending the centuries-long reign of the King of Fish. One fateful night, as the moon cast an ethereal glow upon the waters, a mighty storm tore through the sea, unleashing its fury upon the intrepid crew. Ordinarily, a storm of such intensity would have forced even the bravest souls to retreat. But Malcolm saw it as an opportunity. He believed that within the tempest's chaos lay a chance to unveil the secrets of the malevolent Chuzreem. Driven by sheer desperation, the crew fought to keep their battered vessel afloat amidst the towering waves that crashed against them. Lightning illuminated the churning sky, revealing fragments of the behemoth lurking beneath the tumultuous surface. Malcolm, his eyes alight with mad determination, commanded his men to weave their way through the storm, darting precariously towards the heart of its fury. As the tempest roared, the ship trembled violently, threatening to splinter into pieces. The salt-laden air was heavy with trepidation and the scent of impending doom. Suddenly, the storm's wrath momentarily abated, and the colossal form of Chuzreem emerged from the obscurity, his eyes gleaming with malevolence, a predator ever ready to strike. Without warning, Chuzreem launched himself towards Malcolm's ship, thrashing the water into a frenzy. His scale-clad body glistened with ferocity as he lashed out, his monstrous jaws ripping through the hull of the vessel like a predator tearing into its prey. Malcolm, facing near certain demise, found himself awash with an unforeseen strength. With a sword clutched tightly in his hand, he rushed towards the gaping maw of the King of Fish. His crew, driven by their leader's audacity, joined him in a final stand against this unholy monstrosity. In the ensuing battle, each blow delivered by Chuzreem was met with unwavering defiance. Swords clashed against impenetrable scales, while desperate sailors impaled their weapons deep into the beast's flesh. The sea mingled with the lifeblood of both predator and prey, its waters transforming into a crimson battleground. But as the minutes turned into hours, Captain Malcolm and his crew began to falter beneath the relentless assault. Demonic strength emanated from the very core of Chuzreem, enabling him to endure their strikes, while the humans' energy drained with every passing moment. In a final, desperate maneuver, Malcolm aimed at the creature's vulnerable eye, hoping to blind him and turn the tide of the encounter. By a cruel irony of fate, the grandiose battle between Captain Malcolm and Chuzreem, the King of Fish, has reached its climax. Both man and beast had released their last reserves of strength, their lives dangerously hanging by a thread. While the team was valiantly fighting the monstrous Leviathan, hope was kindled in their tired hearts. Victory seemed unattainable, but as soon as Captain Malcolm knocked out Chuzreem's eye with a quick, decisive blow, a shudder of unspeakable horror ran through the seas. The water frothed, its depths boiled, when a second colossal figure appeared, eclipsing the wounded Chuzreem. The unsuspecting team stumbled upon not one, but to such otherworldly creatures. The second King of Fishes, even more massive and vicious than his wounded brother, possessed an aura of ancient malice from which a shiver ran through the command. He attacked with unprecedented ferocity, crashing into the ship with relentless force. The vessel split as if it were made of simple toothpicks, under the onslaught of this newly discovered horror. Despite their desperation, the crew had no chance to resist the double onslaught. They were just weak mortals caught in the jaws of unfathomable might. Captain Malcolm, who had fought with unwavering courage throughout the battle, now faced the devastating reality that his hopes of defeating the Juzrim and restoring their lives were in vain. When the monstrous waves engulfed the remains of the ship, Captain Malcolm desperately clung to the wreckage. His body was beaten and broken. Through the salt water that stung his eyes, he caught a glimpse of monstrous forms of creatures locked in a wild dance of domination, their rivalry for supremacy raining unrestrained destruction on the sea. In the last moments of his life, Captain Malcolm's will to survive faded along with the fading hope of victory. The crushing embrace of the ocean engulfed him, dragging him into the depths, where he will join the countless souls who have become victims of the ruthless rule of the King of Fishes. The story of Captain Malcolm and his crew, of their valiant struggle, forgotten in the midst of the dual rule of Juzrim and his newfound opponent, would be a cautionary tale that sailors would whisper about. The sea, devoid of hope and teeming with monsters, became a place to be feared and avoided at all costs. To this day there is a legend about Juzrim, the king of fishes, and in hushed voices, the sailors tell about the ill-fated attempt of Captain Malcolm and his crew to challenge the ruthless rulers of the dark waters. The tragic story of bravery, triumph, and utter despair serves as a reminder that even the most noble endeavors can be crushed by the overwhelming power of ancient, incomprehensible forces.